are listening to the 50th episode of the Subtle Forces podcast. I am your host, Anja, not Anja. Actually, I should say that the Subtle Forces existed before it was a podcast. On River West Radio in the years 2017, 2016, I had a 2-hour morning show at 6 to 8 in the morning or something crazy, something before I get up. And I did that with my friend Frisia, and we played all sorts of music and spoke poetry over it. And then she moved away, and then the pandemic happened, and then I started a podcast intermittently, but nothing ever really scratches that same itch of being in a recording studio, on live radio, your ears hugged with headphones, and doing a show. So on the 50th episode of the Subtle Forces podcast, I figured it's time to bring the show back to its radio origin in Studio B of River West Radio on Center Street in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and to connect with some of those early notions I had, where I just play music and I do my poems on top because, well, let's just say it is a strange era we are in. An era in which poets are discouraged from being poets. Artists are discouraged from being artists. We have machines, and machines are quicker than us. They can find their words faster, perhaps. And, I came up into this situation a year ago where I lost my job as a copywriter, and suddenly I was in this sea of shucked copywriters, shucked writers, and we were all submerged and just trying to swim, trying to find a net, a hook, someone to pull us to surface so that we could do what we do, writing copy, writing product listings, or describing things for you, blogging, or, writing press releases. That's what I had been doing, but we were told that none of this was necessary anymore. And in fact, one step further, we weren't necessary anymore. Our brains weren't necessary anymore. So we might as well stop. We might as well consume. We might as well get our emails to be written by Gmail. We might as well just trust the first thing that pops up in the search engine when we ask a question. No need to scroll. No need to ask follow-up questions. That's right. The age of AI told me I might as well die. But, you can be on LinkedIn scrolling and it's all conversations about artificial intelligence. That's right. Stravinsky understands artificial intelligence and the rite of spring. He saw it coming a century ago, but the audience didn't want to hear it. They stood up. They screamed. They were disgusted. They left their handkerchiefs on the floor. They didn't even bother picking them up. They all filed out of the theater because this music was too distressing, but Stravinsky saw something. He saw the age of technology thinking and moving faster than your natural rate. But I'm not going to be taken down by AI. I'm going to rebel in the only way I can. I'm going to make this radio show, and I'm going to make it for my audience of no one, and I'm going to do a good job. I'm going to think my own thoughts, and I'm not going to give you video because video just takes up more space in the cloud, and no one needs to see my face as I'm speaking. Instead, you can use your imagination. You can imagine what I look like. My green, pockmarked skin, my hook nose, my purple, spidery eyelashes. Use your imagination. See that my head looks like a balloon, perfectly round. All right. I think we've talked enough about our stupid times. And instead, I'd like to share with you your fortune. Here's your fortune, listener. Maybe not today, but someday soon, someone you always hug hello will sit on an overbooked airplane next to a gregarious, gesticulating stranger who just visited a Paleolithic museum, and because of all of this, it will become you! You who will carry a hair left over from a Neanderthal on your coat somewhere you'll never see until you finally brush against this town's last, the very last phone booth. And inside that phone booth, that ancient hair will static off from you and attach itself umbilically into one of the speaker holes of the phone receiver. And it will spend the rest of history together in a landfill mountain. Lucy's hair in the phone receiver, preserved until the whole earth melts back into frosting. I can already hear the scientists who might be listening in but probably aren't. The scientists are muttering, Lucy wasn't a Neanderthal, idiot. But scientists, you know what I meant. Right? Maybe not. Alright. You know, my friend Victoria read that poem. She was editing my manuscript for this book I'm working on. She said, you should just cut that poem. It's too poem-y. And then, meanwhile, Louis Friedman at the Woodland Pattern Book Center, who buys all the poetry books for the store, he said, you gotta open up your collection with that poem. So, you can really have to, that's a sentence, but you have to make up your own mind sometimes. And sometimes the only way you can make up your own mind is to listen to yourself. And so that is what I am literally doing right now. I am speaking into a microphone and my voice is feeding into my ears. And somewhere in there, a decision will be made whether to cut the poem about the Neanderthal hair or to make it the opening of my book, or to do something else as I fancy. I think Victoria has some good points, but here's a poem I'm definitely not cutting that she told me to cut. This poem's just a very old poem. I wrote this back in the year 2014 or 2015, and only in the past year have I done the thing I don't normally do, and I edited a poem I wrote, and this is that poem. A collaboration between my 20-something self and my almost 40 self. Here we go. Why a woman envies her shadow. Because it is taller than her at 6 p.m. And without the burden of bones, it rides all the walls and is positively rubber bandable. Then, on cloudy days, when all is too melancholy, her shadow gets to take a break from it all. And then there's the Shadows Trade Union, which requires a lunch break of at least 1 hour each noon. That dang shadow. She is afraid. She loves her shadow more than her shadow loves her. Why else does her shadow leave right when she lays down? Undoubtedly, to follow someone else. This is the London Symphony Orchestra's interpretation of The Rite of Spring by Stravinsky. Okay, now I'm going to do a thing that might be highly annoying to listeners at home, but there's only one way to find out, and that's by doing it. So, I'm going to read a poem 2 times. One time is what I wrote before I got edited, and one time is after, because I'm not sure if this poem needed to be edited so hard. I could be wrong. Usually more editing's good, right? I don't know. Let's find out. So here's the earlier version of The High Visibility Sash, which, by the way, is a true story. Woman, decides to take a step towards greater safety when walking at night and dons a high visibility reflective sash. It was also handmade and given to woman by a friend. A kind gesture that could induce deathbed guilt if never worn, especially if deathbed is reached from low visibility nighttime adventures. Woman embarks Kinnickinnick Avenue evening. Woman is also me. Also me walks, feeling stylish and safe in her reflective sash, making room on the sidewalk for man in what appears to be a wetsuit out on a jog. Wetsuit man glides past with glare-inducing headlamp strapped to his forehead. The moment the two danger-adverse individuals are side by side on the same pavement square. Woman in high visibility reflective sash feels in touch with the neighborhood. Until man with unleashed dog? Unleashed dog man is also on bike. He asks unleashed dog, "Ready?" as light turns green. Unleashed bike man starts biking. Free range traffic dog starts running, well trained. Safety resumes. Woman walking in reflective sash, me, inspects a new restaurant sign in stylized cursive to determine if it says Bellies or Bellio. Woman trips while looking at sign because she did not monitor the uneven pavement in front of Belly's Bellio. Man in idling SUV looks on as reflective sash slips off woman's shoulder and down her waist. Woman with publicly known safety concern did not maintain proper vigilance and sash has become non-functional, potentially snag-inducing and dangerous. Man in SUV continues to watch silly and possibly sexy sash woman. Woman determines that the sign says Bellios. Maybe that was boring. Maybe I should read you something else to clear the palate before reading the shorter edited version. So let's have a palate cleanse. The foghorn has bleaked white out on the names Snow Pea and Caffeine. So we describe the thing we put to make stir fries crunchy. The thing in coffee too intense for us. Meanwhile, I'm trying to commit cucurbitaceae, the full family name for gourds, into daily rotation. Scrabble is scrapped from the whole family game time options, but man, he can still hoe the dirt for corn and tractor, cut dead branches from the tree. That one is about memory loss in my family. Some people I've met many people who've lost their short-term memory, who can't really remember what happened yesterday. But in this case, I'm seeing it more as a erasure of words like snow pea and words like caffeine. Here's another poem about someone else who had memory loss at the end of life. Aunt Gail was bored by the skull. Same eye level, spotted skin, sore feet. No matter how many mornings, she'd wake, same body, until scaling into others, like the man on the dance floor. She spun fisherwoman bewitchment till he said, "Please take me, my entire body, not mine, yours, eat." And their spermy womb wound 3 new leashes. She could walk out on the world. Until decades later, the foggy forget of ages began to haze. And now she could throw entire self into others. Grandniece, ovarian cyst. She tried to camp a coup, a takeover. "I'm sorry I couldn't be your vessel," grandniece tells great aunt in casket. Okay. Here's the edited version of High Visibility Sash. Woman decides to take a step towards greater safety on nightly walks and dons a high visibility reflective sash. Woman embarks on Kinnickinnick Avenue evening. Woman is also me. Also me walks, feeling stylish and safe in her reflective sash, making way for jogging man in what appears to be a wetsuit. Wetsuit man glides past with glare-inducing headlamp strapped to forehead. Briefly, as the 2 danger-adverse individuals meet side by side on the same pavement square, woman in high visibility reflective sash feels in touch with the neighborhood until man with unleashed dog arrives on bike. He asks unleashed dog, "Ready?" As the light turns green, unleashed bike man starts biking. Free range traffic dog begins running, well trained. Safety resumes. Woman in reflective sash, me, inspects a new restaurant sign in stylized cursive to determine if it says Bellies or Bellio. Woman trips because she did not monitor the uneven pavement in front of Bellies Bellio. Man in idling SUV looks on as reflective sash slips off woman's shoulder, then down her waist. Woman with publicly known safety concern did not maintain proper vigilance and sash is no longer functional, potentially snag-inducing and dangerous. Man in idling SUV continues to watch silly and possibly sexy sash woman. Woman determines that the sign says Bellios. Well, obviously, I feel like the edited version was much better. I could feel you daydreaming that first version. I was daydreaming. Even this version, I feel like probably needs some more work. Ay. Writing a manuscript. Have you done it? Who am I asking? I don't know. Here's some scraps from my table. Is it a fixed state? Oh wait, no, I should read this first. Here we go. This actually happened to me. Realizing the irony of being in a room with 4 tarot readers and my own magic 8-ball when a friend is painting a baseball cap with the phrase "no advice" before mailing it to my stoop so I can warn the general public I have reached a fixed state. Is it a fixed state? or just the velvet ropes to indicate I am off limits as I maintain my own slow roll evolution without external input pollution hazing the creek water with vision obscuring silt. You know, the Bavarian restaurant has a tinted window, a two-way mirror deal. Lost tourists squinting, trying to find the heavy door that leads to the cool crypt with suits of armor squatting, cumbersome swords and axes festooning the walls. In an attack, you'd struggle just to lift them off their hooks. But back to the mirror. They can't see in for a reason. Too many visible whimpers on faces chewing massive sausages through the glass. They'd see it and turn around, and we sausage eaters would miss them and their eager excitement for authentic lederhosen and steins. Is this music working or not working for the poetry today? Oh my goodness. I was going to read a poem I read 2 weeks ago on the show, and I have since edited, but I'm not entirely convinced that we have time for that today, as we only have about a minute left. So I think instead I'm going to share some typewriter-inspired boy names. Brother, Oliver, New Franklin, Crandall, Blickensdorfer, Chicago, Torpedo, Mark Style, Rex, Taylorix, Royalite, Hermes, and 3000. They are twins. Charger 11, If Brother Has a Brother, Sterling, Christopher, Latham, Shoals, Milwaukee, Forest Home, Bad Deal, Remington, Big Sigh, Click Clack. Anyway. Alright. Well, that's our show for today. I'm going to play the outro music if I can even find it. Aha, here it is. Alright. Thank you for listening. And remember, when encountering any subtle force...